fooling around with the AFA on the outskirts, in it, out of it, part of it, Dopey, folk builder, the whole 9 yards for the better part of a decade now. I wrote a couple of books. The most recent one I wrote was Death in a New Day. We find ourselves at an interesting crossroads, and Balder is perhaps the best representation of what we are all trying to deal with that I could find in the lore. Now, when I say the lore, I'm talking about the poetic and the prosaic. Within those tales, within that historic collection of our history and literature and everything else, one thing continues to appear, and that is the path of a man's life. What he's going to go through, what he's going to deal with, the situations he's going to have to encounter in life. We always have our gods dealing with loss, with pain, with the death in the family, with the loss of a loved one, be it a husband, a wife, or a child. We have great journeys, we have adventures, we have struggle, hunger, and hardship. And they always come out on top. They always rise to the occasion to be that image that we should emulate in today's world. Sometimes it's difficult to take the two and put them together because we don't live in the Stone Age. We don't live in the Iron Age. We live in a modern age with all kinds of other things happening around us. But ain't nobody created any new emotion in 1,000 years. Not in 10,000 years. Of particular interest to me most recently, and I'll share this with you and get on with what I want to talk about. At the turn of the last century, early 1900s, a Swiss archaeologist found a set of caves up in the Alps. 1901, 1904, somewhere in there. And he found an alcove where they had taken and set up something similar to that, with a little square here, and a little square here, and a little square here. And there were bear skulls arranged in a particular fashion, as if they were symbols to be worshipped. 3 vertebrae off the back of the neck. One had its mouth open, one was closed, one had something in its eyes. The trouble is, those caves were only available, could only be accessed in between the last interglacial period. So that means Neanderthals made it. Which is interesting. True Europeans, we call them Neanderthals. Today, in far western Russia, there is a tribe of white Indians, and when you go into their village, you will see bear skulls in the exact same fashion, 3 vertebrae attached to the back of the neck, on top of the poles as you enter. So we're looking at a tradition that lasted and changed cultures, was integrated into something new that could be as old as 40 to 50,000 years old. So right there, I got a real solid foundation that those same principles that worked then will work now, no matter what it might look like. How do we make that happen? How do we embrace this culture, these ideas, these radical changes, these ideas of self-sufficiency, individual thought, and autonomy, while embracing freedom in a culture that today threatens to take it away from us at every turn? To be convicted in the court of public opinion. How do I embrace these ideas when everybody else is saying, no, don't do that, and it's a mess, and Minneapolis is on fire, and every other American city is having a protest about this or a protest about that? How do I embrace this and not get sucked into the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory arguments, ancient history, and things that do nothing but suck me off track? Because I can get mad about a lot of shit going on. A lot of things I see going on that seem like they might be a threat to me and mine. I don't want nobody coming to my doorstep saying you can't do that anymore. You can't homeschool your child. You need to get an immunization. I don't want any of that. Where do I find the solution to that? Where do I find an answer to help me embrace this faith and spirituality in a way that makes me want to continue to live it, to love it, and to find good kinship and friends? Where do I find that answer? It starts with Odin. When Odin kicked off the first Aesir-Vanir War, he didn't kick it off because they burned Golveig, the love of gold. It didn't start because the Vanir were upset that he burnt one of the three all-powerful female Jotuns that entered Asgard during its golden age. The love of gold, bewitching of men's minds, and the horse thief. They entered with one question. They said, should worship belong to one or should it belong to all? Are we not facing a similar question now? Equality is for lesser men. Odin lost his shit through his spear. Odin has you all. And summarily got his ass whipped and went wandering. In those wanders, the realization occurs that my thought process is crippling my ability to rule that which I created. To be that leader that I needed to be for the society that I built and engendered a golden age. He hung up on a tree for 9 days and 9 nights. Nobody gave him water. Nobody gave him bread to drink. Pierced in the side with his own spear. Sacrificing his ego. Himself to himself. Getting his own sense of self-importance. And if there was ever a being that had deserved a sense of self-importance, I would submit to you that it would be Odin. Far more than anything, any smart-ass comment I might make on social media would engender me to believe. So he hung himself on the tree. Somebody cut him down. He didn't just fall. At the moment where he is at the edge of death, what does he hear? He hears the songs of his ancestors, much like we're hearing now. And he picked up the concentrated, the crystalline form of all of the knowledge of the ancestors that had gone before him in the form of the runes. The very path of life, the keys to the universe. You can look at them all you want by themselves, or you can follow them as a path of life. Start making a little money, you're going to need a little strength to protect it. You're probably going to need a little help from on high to defend what you own. You're going to have to use your grandfather's wisdom to understand how to make it happen. And you're going to be on the journey of life, you're going to be enjoying success. The whole path of a man's life is in them runes. So here we have an example of a father that's done something. He returns to his queen, his wife, Frigga. But the poison's already been put in the society. Balder has a dream. He has a dream that greatly concerns him. And he's afraid of his own death. So Frigga, she goes to earth like any good mother that loves their child would do and make sure nothing's going to harm my child. What a beautiful thought. What a wonderful idea that encapsulates how much a mother will love her son. The lengths to which she will go to protect him. But she robbed him of the challenges he needs to grow up. Odin, on the other hand, goes down to Helheim one more time to talk to a Völuspá in much the same way that he did as we listen to the Völuspá. He enters Helheim. He jumps over the gate. He challenges. He gets through. He asks a dead wise woman, what in the shit is going on? And she says, look over there. You see that grand hall? You see that golden chair that is bedecked and being prepared for the honored guest? That's for your son. And many of us who have children, we get to watch those things happen. We watch our children doing things that we know are going to hurt. Ain't shit we can do about it. Except keep being the right person we need to be. There's one answer for today's world. Always trying to do the right thing. He's got to watch this unfold. While this wife, his mother, Balder's mother, is doing everything she can to make sure he survives. Because what has he done? Why, him and Nanna have formed this relationship that's so powerful, so full of love, so trusting, so such of something that everybody wants to have a part of. That their son, Forseti, is a God of justice. He is the God of justice. He puts to sleep all suits. That's the very foundation of society. Justice. It's a hell of a thing to raise a child that makes that kind of a mark. Probably don't come from a screwed up home. But now Balder's got this protection. He no longer has the challenges of life to help him grow as Thor has, to contend with things that make him struggle to become better. He's automatically, you can't harm him. It's good to have somebody like that as the leader of the Manor Bun, because you ain't going to lose. It's good to have a prince you can follow that you've got to truly contend with if you're going to outdo him. But like most young men, like the quarterback of the football team, like the star of the basketball, track, or hockey team, he's over there and everybody knows he's cool. So now all of a sudden it's a great sport. We're going to hurl a rock, we're going to hurl a spear, we're going to shoot at him. Nothing will harm him. And he's walking around like, yes, I told you. See, because I'm Brian Wilton. That's right. That kind of shit. That kind of attitude, that kind of position of success in the world always generates enemies. I don't give a shit if you're the manager at a convenience store or you're working at one of the largest auto manufacturers in the world in a powerful position. I don't care if you've written a bunch of books that are better than everybody else's. I don't care if you can talk better than everybody else, if you're prettier than everybody else. It always generates envy. And that's always a representation of the ego. Loki is that example of the uninspired human intellect. The uninspired and the uninitiated who feel that by reading alone they might understand the more complex ideas of what it means to be spiritual, truly physically strong, truly loving, truly willing to be vulnerable or strong, depending on what you need to be in your home. Because I can get online and use my fingernails to tap a bunch of shit in like 7 billion other people are doing, and the destruction of our society is being ushered in on the fingernails, not of the dead, but of the living. Loki goes to Frigga. Anytime you've got to change an aspect of who you are to accomplish something, it's probably wrong. Loki goes in there, changes his form into a woman, a maid, and goes to talk to Frigga. She milks some information out of her and finds out that the mistletoe that Shanae has tattooed on her arm. That dog right there. And he goes to the event, the thing, where everybody's throwing shit at Balder, and he's walking around like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, get on me. And he gets the blind man at the edge of the crowd. He gets the weak, the disenfranchised, the fringe element of society. He gets the downtrodden, the poor, the people who are minorities. And he whispers in their ear, take a shot. I'll guide your hand with this. Take a shot with this and be a part of it. Not realizing that when you do that to somebody, you whisper in their ear, not willing to take the action themselves, but willing to get the mob engaged and kill that over there. But what did he do? But he robbed the sunshine from everybody. He literally robbed the light of the world. Balder is of all things a solar deity. A shining example of what it means to be right and true and loving and strong. Come from a good, solid, powerful family of a father that set an example, a sacrifice for his children's behalf. A mother that loved him the best she could. Some dickhead that couldn't measure up takes a cheap shot and robs the sun from our world. Mythology is always a confusing thing. Hell, it's a painful thing to even think about. And yet right now in our society, that very thing is happening every day. And here we are, trying to embrace that the best we can. And there's somebody over there, and somebody over there, and there's this group over here, all want to take a shot. Not wanting to measure up to a standard, but more than willing to take a shot at the man that's on the field trying. In mythology, the death of a character, more often than not, is a symbolic representation. And in the exact same way that Odin brought himself to the edge of death, trying to change himself and make himself better, to make himself fitting, now his son has to go on that journey. When you rob an individual of the opportunities they need to grow, to challenge themselves, to become something more, all you're doing is delaying the inevitable, and it gets that much worse. This is what we got here. Now Balder's on a journey. And we're tempted to be sad about it. We're tempted to be concerned about it. We're tempted to think, shit, we've lost it. That's your ego talking. What's happened is, and Odin knows this, in all the pomp and circumstance of the great send-off, you have a being who is being welcomed to the high seat in another place. Hell herself has prepared her hall to receive such a glorious visitor. Odin's journey got him a set of rooms. Baldur's journey, just like our journey, as we walk away from the busyness of the society behind us, he will walk through the halls of all of those ancestors and the cumulative knowledge that they possess. He did such a good job in life loving a woman that her heart burst and she was willing to join him on that journey. Not an easy thing to do. Not an easy thing to do. When she joins him, think about this in your mind's eye now. All of the things that are happening in Asgard, much like they are in our society, the Jormungandr, and the Fenris wolf, and the ships of the fingernails of the dead, and all the giants, and all of the things that threaten to destroy what we have. Have we not all made a decision to walk away from that nonsense? To embrace something holy? To learn from the knowledge of our ancestors? To seek out a better life? To find a partner that has the courage to walk with us? That's what it's all about. So when I look and I tell you that all of the answers you need to figure out how to navigate this world are right there in that lore, they're right there in that lore. When Baldur dies, obviously it's a great loss for the community. Well, we bemoan the fact that we've lost a hero. We bemoan the fact that we've lost someone else. Not a false image of someone that's died because they were retarded. But we've lost someone truly great. Someone that tried. Someone that meant something. Someone whose children created the foundation of society and justice. After we're dead and gone, I'm telling you right now, the only thing anyone will ever know about how great we were is how good our people become. Our kids become. Will people talk about our kids in the same fashion? That's a good kid, man. He grew up and became something right. Look what he's done. His daddy must have done right. His mama must have loved him. That's our greatest thing we can do right now. Raise these children in the way they need to be raised. Love is the most important part of that. At any rate, the loss of a hero to any society after the fact is bemoaned, and of course the news is going to carry it, and it's going to be on the radio, and we've lost a great man. Nashville is sure is rough on the living, but she sure speaks well of the dead, is a saying among country music artists. And it is. They will talk about you, stab you in the back, cut your throat. They'll do anything they can to get over it. But when you're gone, oh my gosh, George Jones was a damn drunk. Hank Williams was a drunk. As soon as he was dead, they became a hero. At any rate, I digress. That's a rabbit hole. The society bemoans the loss of the hero. Frigga asks for one champion. She's lost her son. They send, I forgot his name. How uncouth was that? George Jones messed me up. Odin gives him Sleipnir. He rides day and night. He finds the bridge that's guarded by the female guardian, and the river of souls crosses over. And overhead is gleaming with gold. I've often wondered in other mythologies when you talk about the river of the dead. For the Native American Indians of 8,000 to 10,000 years ago, it was the Mississippi, and the golden thatched roof overhead was the Milky Way. It's the exact same thing in the Nile. At the same time frame, the river of the dead is the Nile, and then the overhead, or that's the river of life, and the Milky Way overhead is the river of the dead, the path of souls. It's a common theme that happens around every great culture in the world that's emerged around a river. To Do we have that same thing there? Is that really telling us how old this might be? How old could these tales be? Could they be 40,000 years old? And somewhere there's an uninterrupted timeline of it still being practiced? Are we those individuals that are going to find that and embrace that and bring it back to the center? Probably. So, Balder's half-brother, Hermod, journeys day and night, jumps the wall, enters Hell's Hall, and who does he find but Balder and Nanna, seated in the high seat. They're prepared for a journey in a much different fashion than the father was prepared for a journey. Our children are going to encounter things much different than we're going to encounter because we'll have prepared them for a journey. Hopefully we will have grasped and understood and embraced these ideas and grown from them. The growth is not always an easy, peaceful process. People that know me have seen me grow. They've seen me fall on my face. They've seen me screw shit up. They've seen me pick myself up and try it again. That's all we can ever do, is try again. And symbolically kill that part of us, like she was talking about earlier, that's brought us to such a ruinous state of being. So Hermod tarries there overnight. In the morning, he gets ready to go back. Hel says, if everything in the world cries for him, he can come back. Not a bad deal. But she knows something too. See, she has access to all of that wisdom as well. This story of a deity dying and being reborn has been told 16 times that I know of in various different mythologies. Any cursory examination of Joseph Campbell will show you which ones they are. All over the world. Egypt, Native America, Greece, Rome, all of them. So, Balder, in a stroke of wisdom, he's no longer invincible. He has Draupnir. Now, if you're a chieftain, your kingdom is so wealthy, you can give away 8 of those rings every week, you're going to have a big damned army. And you're not going to be easily defeated. He sends it back to the rightful ruler, the man that needs it, the king that needs it, because he probably already knows what's coming. That society is going to collapse. He's going to do everything he can to fight against it. Now, Nanna, on the other hand, in a beautiful gesture that always touches my heart when I think of it, she sends back a linen smock to Frigga. Now, what is the significance of a linen smock? In every great hero story, as the adventurer leaves home, the wailing and gnashing of teeth of mother and father as they hold each other at the door, the young hero ventures out. He is always wearing a homespun garment his mother made for him. A homespun woolen garment. Her sending that back to Frigga is a pure, simple sign that this woman has now replaced Frigga in this man's life. What a beautiful sentiment. What a rightful changing of the guard on the new adventure. She also sends back one other thing. She sends back a finger ring to Fulla, the little sister. Because it's a terrifying thought to a young girl when big sister gets married and moves a long ways off. Because these little girls got to grow up. They got to wonder, am I pretty enough? Can I have a baby? Am I going to find a good man? Am I worth what my sister's worth and the love she's giving? That's a beautiful sentiment. That is a wonderful reinforcement of the idea of what sisters can do for each other without great fanfare, simple love. And there's the real strength of our society. We're going to do grand and glorious and great things all the time. I've done many of them in my life. Probably going to do it much more. Promise you, if you walk out the front door every day and your woman's back there and she's throwing a loaded diaper at your head or some shit like that, it's going to be a bad day. It's going to be hard to do great and glorious things. Having a good partner is essential. They found it. We have true ideas of a loving partnership between a man and woman. We have true ideas of the respect that should be afforded to the father and the mother as we begin our journeys. We have true ideas of the importance of our ancestors and the wisdom they had. We have true ideas that this new journey that takes us away from all the business of society is really means we're on the right path. We are not alienated. We are not victims. We are not outcasts. We are not oddballs. We're individuals who are waking up to say, that's not for me. I want something better for my child. Let me begin this strenuous journey. Let me begin this hero's path. Balder does just that. The society destroys itself. It's devoured, burnt. The greatest tales of heroes doing the last great things are in that tale. Balder returns to a new earth. And a new earth is something that's described in all kinds of mythologies. After the flood, after the fire, after a plague of man-eating jaguars. Well, by the time Columbus had arrived in Mexico, their world had been destroyed 3 times, and the last one was by man-eating jaguars. It's a savage affair. And we're also beginning to emerge into a new earth. When you hear these Githyas and Gothies talk about the runes, when you hear the passion with which they express themselves with the things they believe in, they're not doing it to try to prove how right they are, because they all know that I am. They're doing it because there's something wonderful to truly behold as we begin this path and this journey of building each other up, of sharing with each other. I have a vision of something wonderful. Will it be fields of leeks that bear fruit unsown? Hell, I don't know. I don't care. I'm finding people that I believe are worthwhile to be in my life. Dan Pena is always fond of saying it, and I've heard him say it many times. You want to know why you're so fucked up? Look at the people you hang out with. Well, let's look at the people we're hanging out with now. We're people that want to be something more. We're people that want to stand up and hold our head high once again when the entire world is saying, don't you dare do that. Fuck you, make me. I apologize for the language, I just get excited about it. Balder returns to a new earth, and I think the longer we all stay in these rooms sharing a horn with each other, we begin to change our thought process. We might not be walking on a new planet, and we might not have moved anywhere, but we might also have burned our maps and went somewhere far away to try something new. And we found ourselves in a new place. We find ourselves in a new way of life because our thought process has changed. Do not succumb to the rabbit holes of ideas that pull us to the side, away from the ideas of the future that we are supposed to embrace. That is a promising one where we get to stand, we get to play games at golden tables, and with fond remembrances we get to remember the people that came before and did things for us. The people that worked, our fathers, our mothers, they did the best they could with what they got. But we're fighting a tide against which we cannot compete. It is our time to begin journeys that change our thought processes to thoughts that allow us to see the wonderful beauty that's around us in this world. Because it is here. There's still opportunity here. There's still an opportunity to be great. But it's not going to be on a battlefield. It may not be in a riot in the street. It might simply be sitting at the table thinking, no, I can do better. Tomorrow I'm going to try harder. Whatever it is you might want to be trying. I can do better. I can be better. I have crystallized form of the runes. I have the wisdom of my ancestors. Hopefully we all have someone worth loving. If not, we need to figure out how to treat ourselves as if we're worth loving. And then we need to begin to follow a path, like all the rest of us, that allows us to raise our heads instead of always looking at the ground. It ain't always a rosy path. And it ain't an easy path. It wasn't easy for Balder to leave everybody behind. Had to be done radically. Hagalaz, radical change, seed of new life. He's got that journey going. And at midsummer every year, we talk about the shortening of the days. It doesn't mean we shortchange our thought process. It means we continue on with an idea, that great opiate of the masses, hope. And there's one thing these halls of Austin Truth have allowed me to believe in. I've got a little bit of hope that I can be better. And I promise you that has not always been the case. So, you may have any questions? All right, I appreciate everyone's rapt attention. Thank you so much. A little bit warm in here. I don't know what's going on next, but I seriously thank you for allowing me to run my mouth.